start this puppy off, Game Awards, right? Game Awards next couple of weeks. I think it's December 12th. So still a little ways away, but you know, it's getting closer. The discussions are starting to be had and all that stuff. And obviously the deadline for games being eligible is passed, as everything has already been nominated. So we're going to go through each category. Some categories, hey, the very gods. Cyclo, thank you for the also 8-month streak resub. Ooh, behave. And thank you for the level 1 hype train. Heck to the yes. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I'm just going to be rambling a bunch, so. Yeah, so I'm going to go from back to front because they start with all of the best ones up front and end with all the ones nobody really cares that much about. So I'm going to go backwards. I don't care about esports at all, personally, or content creator of the year. I don't even know who any of the people of this category are. Like, I have no say on who the best esports team is. I don't really watch esports. Same thing for athlete. I'd noticed they took the esports coach out this time because they had a category for that. I don't play any of these games or care to watch them personally, so I'm only going to vote for things that I actually have anything to say about. This is the only person I recognize, but I still don't even know who they are. So here we go. First category. This one's always fun. This one is most anticipated game. So recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. Or in other words, which game that is coming out next year are you the most hype about? Also, demonstrably is a very interesting word. So we've got Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Is that the actual title? That's funny. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Death Stranding 2 Hawaii edition. I didn't play the first Death Stranding, but it was very weird. It was very Kojima. I watched a little bit of it, and I still, to this day, have no idea what the heck it's about. Very confusing, but it was big. It was big. A lot of people liked it, so a lot of people are excited about that. Ghost of Yotei, which is the much anticipated sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. And I believe it's set several centuries later, so it's a completely different protagonist. And we got a trailer for it, and it looked fantastic. I loved Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was amazing. I have never streamed it because I played it before I started streaming, but it was absolutely fantastic. I gotta restart the music here. We already heard that one. Oh, Spotify's been really annoying with this lately, where it will just get stuck in a queue. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it to fix real quick. Where did my playlist go? Get that lo-fi back in here. There we go. Oh, okay, there we go. We're good. Should be good now. So yeah, I'm very excited about Ghost of Yotei. Ghost of Tsushima was, again, phenomenal game. Loved it. Loved it. I actually platinumed that one, which means I 100%ed the base game. I never actually finished the DLC for it. So maybe we could revisit that on stream at some point. Potentially. I do think quite a few of these games are supposed to be coming out right at the beginning of next year, so we'll see. Time may not be on our side. Next up is Grand Theft Auto 6. This is probably going to win this category because it's Grand Theft Auto, and it's been 10 plus years since 5. Now, I've never gotten into the GTA series. I just never really had much interest. When I was very young, I wasn't allowed to play it. But even as I got older, I don't know. I tried 4 out once. I tried 5 out once. I couldn't really get into it. Kind of the same thing with Red Dead, which is the same developer, Rockstar Games. The way their gameplay feels does not feel good to me. I don't like the way characters control. I really don't like the way like shooting feels. But obviously it's like the sandbox game where you can just do anything and be anyone. And 6 is looking pretty bloody ambitious for what they're trying to accomplish with it. So I'm interested to check it out. Maybe Rockstar has heard the complaints about how their games control, but to be honest, they don't really even have to care about it because they always sell millions of copies. So they don't really have to change anything because most people don't care. And that's completely fine. I hope that it feels good to play because I would like to actually get into it. But that one's probably going to win most anticipated game. I mean, there's been a meme for like 5 years now, or at least ever since this got announced. Actually, I think even longer. Where people will just be like, we got such and such before GTA 6. We got this before GTA 6. Can't believe we got that before GTA 6. Safe to say, this is probably one of the most anticipated games of all time. Metroid Prime 4. Now, I haven't played any of the Metroid games yet, but I actually really want to get into them. I've watched some other people play them in recent years, and I realized, oh, these games are pretty dang cool. And I've gotten more into, like, the Metroidvania style of things, which obviously Metroids are the progenitor of, though Prime is a little different because it's the three-dimensional first-person version, which they just did a Metroid Prime remaster. Was that last year? I think it was last year, which also looks good and I would like to play. So I'd like to play all the other ones first before this one. But this one's been in the oven for a while. This got teased at E3, I think. I think this got teased at E3. And E3's been dead for 5 years. Or 4 years. Has it been 5+ years since this got announced? It's been a long time. So anyway, all these games are very anticipated. These two have been anticipated for a very long time, though. Of everything on this list, though, this is probably my most anticipated game of what's up here for next year. I think I might have one or two other games next year that are supposed to come out next year, at least allegedly, that I'm maybe a little more excited for, like Fable. But of what's up here, Monster Hunter. Wilds is basically like the sequel to World, which is the first Monster Hunter game that I ever played, and I dropped like 250 hours into that game, which is very, very small for a Monster Hunter game. Most people put like thousands of hours in them, but I'm very excited for this. It looks fantastic. I missed out on the dang open beta for it, unfortunately, but I'm very excited to play this one. And this comes out in February, so it's very close. It's very close. I'm hoping, I would like to, even though I haven't been able to rope my friends into anything video game related for a long time, outside of hopping on Call of Duty every once in a while. I would love to have somebody to actually play this game with, because you can play it solo, and I played all of World solo, and I had a blast. But you can also play it cooperatively, which I think just adds another dimension to what makes Monster Hunter so fun, which is that cooperative element. So maybe I can rope somebody into playing it with me. We'll see. But that is going to be my vote, and I think I'm already logged in. Yeah, okay. So that's going to be my first vote, which is for Monster Hunter. Can I click out of that? Okay. And then we're going to keep going backwards. So that's most anticipated game. Best adaptation. The only one of these I've actually watched was Fallout. Fallout is the only one I've seen. I've heard nothing but good things about Arcane, which is League of Legends, which I never got into League of Legends. I still don't even understand what League of Legends is. I haven't seen any of the Sonic movies. I didn't know this was a thing. I saw the trailer for this, but I haven't watched it. So the only thing I can vote for is Fallout, and that's the only thing I can even comment on because it's the only one I've watched. But Fallout was fantastic. I know some of you are watching it right now, so I won't go into spoilers or anything, but Fallout was very, very faithful to the world of the games in presentation, in tone, in just minute details, like the way the sets were made and everything. It was fantastic. And it told its own unique story, just set within the same universe as the games, which I thought was fantastic. It was just something that a lot of us have been screaming into the void for video game adaptations. Like, you don't need to remake the same story as a show if it's already been done well as a game. And for something like Fallout, it makes even more sense and is perfect to make your own story just set within the same world as the games. And they did that, and they delivered. I thought it was fantastic. I think it started a little slow, but 2 episodes in, it kicked in for me, and it was just incredible. And I am insanely excited for season 2, which has been confirmed. So my vote for best adaptation goes to Fallout because it is, frankly, the only one I've seen, but also I believe it deserves it. So, Fallout it is. Highly recommend it. Even if you haven't played the games, highly, highly recommend it. So next we have Best Multiplayer for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. We got Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I've played 4 of these games. I played COD, I played Helldivers, I played Tekken 8, and I played Warhammer. I want to get Mario Party, and I've watched people play it, and it looks fun. And it's Mario Party, so if you played one, then you know what to expect, and kind of the same for a lot of these. Now, I didn't play the multiplayer of Warhammer. I just played the campaign. And it was a great campaign. Really enjoyed it. But I didn't play the multiplayer. So that one is out for me. Mario Party's out for me because I haven't played it. Helldivers, I didn't get to play a lot of it. Because it was only on PlayStation and PC. And most of my friends have an Xbox. I eventually got it because my cousin had it, and we played once for like an hour or 2, and that was it. It was fun, and it was an absolute smash hit when it dropped at the beginning. I can't even believe this was this year because it was like February, and that feels like a year ago to me already, because technically it almost is. But this game set the world on fire in a good way when it came out. And then unfortunately it went through a lot of turmoil later on in the year because Sony screwed up big time. They retroactively took back what they were trying to do to it, which was make it unavailable in a lot of countries without like... I think that's what it was. They wanted people to sign up to PlayStation through PC. And there was something where like a lot of countries that the game had launched in didn't have access to PSN. So they were effectively going to void people having bought the game on PC because they were going to require PlayStation Network. They walked that back after everybody got mad, but it kind of hurt the game, unfortunately. I don't think it ever completely recovered, but it was really good. It was really fun. A lot of people had a lot of fun, made a lot of crazy content on it. I played Tekken 8. I believe I played exactly 1 online match So I can technically say that I have played Tekken 8 online. I have played against my buddies, though, couch co-op or couch versus. So that's still technically multiplayer. And Tekken 8's really fun. Fantastic. I want to play more of it against my buddies. And then obviously Black Ops 6 just came out, and probably the funnest Call of Duty in quite a while. I haven't played a whole lot lately because I've been sick and tired, and I don't play Call of Duty when I'm sick and tired because it makes me very angry. I just don't have fun. But it's been a pretty fun Call of Duty. So I kind of don't want to vote for Call of Duty because it's Call of Duty. It's a better Call of Duty. But it's also the one that I've played the most multiplayer. So it's either it or Tekken 8. And I'm gonna vote for Call of Duty. It's the one that I've played the most multiplayer of, so you know. Probably the only one that this game has a chance of winning at all. And I don't really care either way, to be completely honest. I'd be fine if any of these won it. Completely fine if any of these won it. Best sports racing game. Moving on. Best sim strategy game. The only thing I can say about this is I watched a gameplay video of the Manor Lords one, and it looked kind of neat. It was like a medieval settlement simulation game. Looked kind of cool. This also looks interesting. I've heard a lot of good stuff about that, but I haven't played any of them, and it's not. Oh, and this one was cool. I didn't play it, but I saw some of it played. Kunitsugami was like a new Capcom game. It was pretty cool, interesting concept. But I haven't played any of them, so null and void for me. Best family game. I also haven't played any of these. I haven't played any of these. But I know Astrobot is very, very popular. A lot of people really liked it, and I would like to play it. I don't know much about this one. Didn't hear a lot. But that doesn't mean anything. It's Nintendo. I mean, this is Nintendo's category. Mario Party seems like it's pretty good. I actually haven't seen much on the new Zelda game either. This one kind of dropped at a bad time for me. And after seeing what the gameplay was, I kind of wasn't that interested personally. But I don't know. I have a feeling this will go to Astrobot, though, because not only has this been very popular, but it's also nominated for actual Game of the Year, which means a lot of people really liked it. And this is a PlayStation original platformer, which is pretty cool. I did play Astro's Playroom, which is where the concept for this came from, and that was more of like a freebie tech demo kind of game, where it was still a game, but it wasn't like a full-blown game, you know. But I mean, it was, but it wasn't. If that makes sense. But it was neat, and it was very cute. Okay, this one. So, this category, I've looked at all of these beforehand, but this category, I have no doubt in my mind, is going to cause controversy, as it typically does almost every single year, because they always include something, they always include a game in here that isn't quite exactly like all of the others. You know, one of these things just doesn't belong here, or one of these things is not like the other. Your emoji is spot on. So the FGC, the fighting game community, right, and fairly so, usually gets a little flustered with what is put in this category, because there's always something that is not what you would consider like a core fighting game, you know, like a Tekken or a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter or a Marvel vs. Capcom or something like that. but is technically still within the fighting game sphere because that's what the point of the game is. And the dark horse, the oddball here, is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. This is what is called an arena fighter, which means it's a 3D arena with freedom of movement, right? You guys watched me play this. Same thing as like Xenoverse and the Naruto Storm games and stuff. They're technically fighting games because the point is to fight, right? But but not on the same technical level of like a Tekken, right? So I could see the FGC getting very grumpy about this because this game is going to have mass appeal, because it's going to appeal to a very large, wide, casual audience, as it did, and was very successful and very popular. So it's sort of unfair in a way to put it in here against a lot of these games that are already within a category that's more niche in general. Even though the fighting game scene has been growing a lot more, it just feels a little disingenuous to throw Sparking Zero in here. And don't get me wrong, I love this game, right? But all these other games deserve a better shot, in my opinion, than they're going to get with this being here. Now, it's possible that this could go in Tekken's favor or potentially Marvel vs. Capcom collection, because this made a huge splash when it came back, because it revitalized this franchise from a grave, basically. But I have a feeling it's going to go to this one. Personally, I have been sort of ingrained into the FGC in a casual level, but also in a way where I kind of take on a bit of that respect for the genre that a lot of the more hardcore members have for it, because they're very passionate. It's a very passionate community. And because of that, and because I think it deserves it, my pick's going to be Tekken 8. Tekken 8 was fantastic. It's a super fun game. I really like it. It's fun to play. It was very popular. It did a lot of good things. It did a lot of things right. I'm not a fighting game savant, so I can't like speak to it on a very technical level. But, and I've actually played everything except this. I played everything else. I played Grand Blue Fantasy Versus before it became Rising, which is like a relaunch almost. But I know a lot of people like that, and it's pretty good. Multiverses, It was Warner Brothers Smash Bros. And nowhere near as fun, in my opinion. This made a lot of people really happy. But again, now I don't know where else you'd put it. I mean, you could put it in action game. But I don't know. I'll be interested to see what a lot of FGC people have to say about this category. I have a feeling they're not going to be happy about this. But personally, I think Tekken deserves it. So that's the one I'm going to go with. I still haven't even played the campaign of this, but I played enough of it. Just fighting the CPU or fighting my friends, which is kind of the crux of what fighting games are. Moving on. Best RPG. Now, this, you're truly an unbiased judge. Well, thank you. I try to be. This is a category tailor-made for yours truly, as I am a lover of RPGs. For the best game designed with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. Massively multiplayer experiences. Okay. I guess if they threw an MMO in here, MMORPG, but they didn't. So we've got Dragon's Dogma 2, which we streamed a little bit of at the beginning of this year and went on many a merry adventure slaying giant monsters with our borrowed companion, Big Titty, which was fun. That was funny. I still need to go back and maybe make some edits of those. I kind of got my fill of the game pretty quickly, but I think it was fun for what it was. Mostly its systems clashing with each other was what was really fun about it. You know, running through the world, and then you run into a bunch of goblins, and all of a sudden a giant troll shows up, and you're like, oh crap, and you get on the troll and start stabbing it, and then a dragon comes down and attacks you, and you're like, ah, it's pretty cool. I felt the magic wear off pretty quickly, personally, but I enjoyed the time that I put into it for what it was. And it was very pretty, very impressive looking, but it was fun. It was fun. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Peak. And this is a good category for it to be in. Now, it was a DLC expansion, but dadgum if it didn't feel like it was a sequel. Man, if it didn't feel like it was a sequel. We also streamed this, and I couldn't put it down. And oh my goodness, what a journey. What a journey. We even went back and played through the base game, at least hitting all the major story bosses leading up to it, which was fun. I really, really enjoyed my time playing this. I've become an absolute From Software fanboy. And not in the bad way, in the appreciative sort of way, not in the crazy way, you know. But their games just captivate me in a very interesting way. I think it's that sense of, they really, especially in Elden Ring, they really nailed the sense of exploration, being rewarded for your exploration, as well as that just unbeatable feeling of eventually finally overcoming that obstacle, you know, that boss that you beat your head against for hours and die to tons and tons of times over and over again until you finally beat them. I think the only boss in the DLC that I genuinely disliked was Radahn again, because he was just kind of cheap. He was kind of cheap. And half of my deaths in that run went to that bastard. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. Truly just one of a kind experience. Love it. It's gotten me addicted to the genre. Or every time I see a Souls-like, I'm like, I'll take a bite. I'll take a bite out of that. They're just fun. They're super fun. Moving on to the next game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Once again, peak. Game was so dang good and so dang big, it took me half the year to beat it. And I had to end up skipping a bunch of side content in the end. Because it was good. We'd still be playing it right now if I hadn't done if I just kept doing everything in the game, we'd still be playing it right now. And that's partly because of the fact that I just can't stream super long or super constantly all the time. But what a journey. What a journey this game was. Everything about it. I became a fan of Final Fantasy VII when I played Rebirth, or Remake, back in 2020 when that came out. This was the first time I'd ever played a Final Fantasy game, let alone Final Fantasy VII. I became engrossed in that world. And that was just a taste. Because this game comes out, and I went back and replayed Remake on stream because I wanted to have the continuity there. And it was just as fun the second time, really, minus some of the side quests in the first game. But the second game, Rebirth, man, it just didn't stop. It just didn't stop. And to be completely honest, because of the fact that I just can't stream full time all the time, it made it a little hard to get through because I just wanted to play it all the time. But I also didn't want it to take as long as it did, because drawing something out that long over such a long period of time, where you start and by the time you get to where you end, there's such a large amount of time in between it that it can kind of feel a little disjointed. And that isn't an issue with the game. That's just an issue with how I consumed it this time around, which is just a product of my circumstances. But in spite of that, it's still probably my choice for game of the year. And it was just incredible. It was incredible. The story's amazing. The characters are out of this world. The music, oh my god, the music has become some of my favorite music in gaming, up there with like Zelda and Halo as like some of the best video game soundtrack of all time. And they made so much of the side content fun, and a lot of the side content, and I've heard other people talk about this too, felt like it was main story content. A lot of the side content you'd come across and be like, this is a side quest? This feels like it's relevant to the main story. This feels like it's something that shouldn't be skipped. But you could. Which is just crazy. And I cannot wait to see what the heck they're going to do for part 3. When that eventually comes out. Just let them cook. Let them cook. Because, my god. And eventually, I think I want to play part 3 and then go back after having played all of Remake and play the original afterward. Since I started with the remakes, I kind of don't want to play the original and then have like that knowledge. I kind of like going and not knowing and then experiencing it, and then I can go back and play the original. Didn't play this. I've never played a Yakuza game, but I know a lot of people really, really like them. They seem fun. I've seen bits and pieces of them, and they look very kooky, very crazy. So I know a lot of people liked this. And then I didn't play this in its entirety, but I played the demo, which was fairly extensive. It's like the whole beginning, like opening of the game. Of course, from what I've heard, this game's insanely long as well. But it's by the same studio that makes all the Persona games. And from what little bit I played of the demo, it was really good. It was really good. I understand why a lot of people are saying this is their game of the year. It's very quintessential, like, you know, turn-based, build your party JRPG kind of game. But it's got an interesting world, good music, fun characters, interesting concepts. So I definitely I get why a lot of people are really, really enjoying this one. For me, though, it's between these two. It's between these two, and to be completely honest with you, it's really hard because these are both so good. These are both such good games. I also played them next to each other as well. I was still playing this by the time this came out, and then I beat this one and then finished this after. So FF7's been with me for the majority of the year. But Elden Ring was such a good experience. I might... it's hard. It's actually hard between these two. If I go back here and look at all the categories, best RPG, because when we get to Game of the Year, I definitely have a lot to say about that. As far as best RPG, man, it's tough. It genuinely is tough. I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it to Elden Ring for best RPG. Because, spoiler alert, I'm probably going to go with FF7 as my game of the year. So I want to spread the love a little bit. Because I genuinely think they're both on such an even playing field for me personally that it's really hard to choose. So I'm gonna lock in I'm going to lock in Elden Ring for right now and come back and change it if I feel so inclined to do so. But I'm going to place Elden Ring for best RPG for now and move along. Man, I haven't done this much talking in a long time, so my throat kind of hurts, but bear with me, chat. Another category where I haven't played anything here. There's a lot of games, and most of my stream time got eaten up by FF7 this year. So there's that. Talked about Astro Bot and how everybody loved it. This game also came out this year. Holy cow. I watched some of this, and it looked really good. It's a new Prince of Persia game, and it was very much a Metroidvania style, and it looked fun. One of those things, again, where there's just so much stuff coming out all the time, constantly, that I just missed out on certain things because I didn't have time. Just didn't have time. I had to, like, make choices of, like, what's more important, you know? What's more interesting. And I'd like to eventually get around to some of these games again, but I can at least acknowledge that what I've seen of them, they looked fantastic. Star Wars Outlaws, Ubisoft Star Wars game. Saw some people play a bit of it. Wasn't really that impressed. Some people liked it. A lot of people weren't very happy with it from what I've seen, because it just kind of has a lot of the problems Ubisoft games tend to do. Unfortunately. Interesting, but neat concept, just not executed the best from what I saw. Talked about this. Silent Hill 2. This is a remake of the original Silent Hill 2. I didn't play it, but I watched somebody else play almost the entire game. And while it's definitely not the type of game that I personally would play, it's not the kind of game that I think I would find fun to play myself. Man, was it a fantastic game to watch somebody else play. It was one of those for me. Certain games are like, I can appreciate this from a viewing experience over a playing experience. First off, horror is not really my thing, but it's a very interesting game and an interesting story and how it's told. And they did a really good job, and it evoked the same level of care and attention to what made the original beloved, from just from impressions that I'm getting from other people, because I've never played the original. But from the impressions of other people and hearing other people talk about, oh man, you know, the improvements they made and the things that they kept, you know, in line and everything. It seems a lot of people are comparing this to the Resident Evil 4 remake in terms of like how good of a remake it was of an original game that was also very beloved. So this game, I feel like, just from watching it be played, I feel like this got snubbed on a GOTY nomination, on a Game of the Year nomination, because it didn't get nominated for that. And I'm kind of shocked. I'm kind of surprised it didn't. I was like, this is the exact type of game that you'd think would get that nomination. So very, very interesting there. And you know, just because I actually watched pretty much this entire game, I'm going to give it my vote for this. I feel like I watched so much of it that is just enough to be able to give a vote on it. And I watched a lot of these, so it's one of the few times I'll do that where I didn't play it. But it's also because I'm not going to play it. I was like, I enjoyed this as a viewing experience. Action game. So they have action adventure. Best action adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Okay. Versus action. Best game in the action genre focused primarily on combat. Why is Call of Duty here? This is a shooter. Technically, it's action, but it's also an FPS. Leave it in multiplayer. It's the only thing. Call of Duty always gets nominated for more things than it deserves to get nominated for, in my opinion. This could have gone to something else. This could have been a spot for something else that deserved it more. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure there was something. I didn't get to play Black Myth Wukong yet because it came out at a bad time for me, and then I was wanting to play the Xbox version, and they still haven't put it on Xbox yet. It's still just on PlayStation and PC. I wanted my Xbox achievements. Sue me. But I watched some of it, and it looks fun. But I've also heard people say that they liked it for a while, and then it kind of maybe was a little too long for not giving you enough variance in what you do gameplay-wise, which I think is a fair criticism for that kind of game. But it looks fun, and I'd still like to play it at some point. Call of Duty's Call of Duty. It doesn't deserve to be here. Helldivers 2. Solid nomination again. Crazy. Cool game. Stellar Blade. Also didn't play it. I have it. I'd like to play it at some point. I played the demo. Another sort of Souls-like-esque. I've heard everybody say that the gameplay is fun, but the story isn't. So, the only other one I've really played was Warhammer. Funnily enough, looking at this, I didn't get to play this enough. I beat this one, and I played enough Call of Duty, but I'm not voting for that. So I guess by default, my vote goes to Warhammer. Don't think... I'm actually curious. There's a lot of people that champion this game. There's a lot of people that champion this game, and there's a lot of people that champion this game. Warhammer has a very large fan base. Call of Duty is not going to win it. If Call of Duty wins it, nah. Of course, this is all done by a panel of judges. Judges vote. It's not popular vote. Popular vote goes into it. It's kind of like the Oscars for games, but the judge panelists actually make the decision. So, with that said, I'm actually not sure. Among this crop of games, I'll be interested to see what gets it. Because I don't think any of these games necessarily... I think Helldivers and Warhammer might have had the higher scores critically. Everything else was kind of average score-wise. But for me, I'm going to go Warhammer because it's the only one I've really played that isn't Call of Duty. But at the same time, it was a great game. It was the first time I've ever experienced anything Warhammer related, and it was an intriguing story, interesting universe. I got very sucked into the whole brother for the emperor kind of thing, you know? And it was fun. So, more than happy to give that my vote. Warhammer it is. Warhammer it is. Best VR AR. Moving on. Best mobile game. So this is an interesting category. Never played this. Heard good things. Never played this. But it's so popular and so many people like it that it's up for Game of the Year. Can't speak to that. I've heard things about this, but I haven't played it. The only two I have played are Pokemon Trading Card Game, which I just started playing recently and is actually very, very fun. And is making me want to buy actual physical Pokemon cards. And Zenless Zone Zero, which it is technically a mobile game, but it's also on PS5 and also on PC, and absolutely runs way better on those systems. And I've played this game predominantly on my PS5 and put almost 250 hours into since July, because this game is addictive and very fun. I haven't played it very much recently because I've been into other things like the new Dragon Age game. But this being the only category this game is up for is criminal in my opinion. You know what? This should have been in freaking action game over Call of Duty. This should have been up for an action game nomination over freaking Call of Duty. Like, come on. This is an action game. It's action-based combat. And it's fantastic. Such a good game. I mean, evidenced by the fact that I put like 250 hours into it. Super good. So I'm mad that this is the only category I got nominated for, and it might not win it, just because I don't know. I really don't know I don't play a lot of games on my phone anymore, outside of this lately, because it's just kind of relaxing and fun, and I mostly just open daily packs for the collection aspect, but it's also fun to just play it. But obviously I'm going to vote for Zenless Zone Zero. It's the only dang category it's been in, and is crazy to me because this is up there as one of my contenders for my personal game of the year. I genuinely at one point in time was going, it's a contender for me. Super, super good, super fun. Like, the animation quality in this game is nuts. It's nuts. Crazy. Mind-boggling. Best debut indie. I haven't played any of them. I have not played any of these. I've just heard... I saw a trailer for this. It looked funny. Everybody's done nothing but praise this game. I've seen one video on this and it looked kind of neat. Never even heard of these two. So, I saw the trailer for this one. I have nothing to add, nothing of value to add to that one. Same thing for independent game. I didn't play any of these. I remember seeing a trailer for this and it looked really pretty and also very sad because it's like human with animal and fighting things and animal gets hurt. So it's very much a we're going to make you cry kind of game, it seemed like. But otherwise, again, I don't really have anything to add to those because I didn't play any of them. So best community support. Recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates patches. So, I have technically played every single one of these to some extent. I've tried to get into FF14 several times, and I can acknowledge that it is a fantastic game. It's just hard for me to get into it for multiple different reasons. One, it's one of those older MMOs that if you really want to play it, you have to pay a subscription monthly. Two, it's not the most single player friendly game. It very much wants you to party up with people and be social within the game, and it's just not something I'm interested in. And three, it's an older game, so the combat is more old school. And it's fine, but it's not something that personally excites me. Everything else about the game does, but obviously this game just keeps going. And they're always getting new expansions and updates, so it makes a lot of sense. Fortnite set the world on fire and never stopped setting the world on fire. Even I came back to it and have come back to it once and twice, here and there. It's not something I really get into all that much personally, but I can respect what it's done. It's pretty incredible what it's done. It's basically become its own platform at this point. They added a Lego survival mode, they added a racing mode, they added a whole bunch of stuff. They added like a creative mode where people make their own games within the game. It's nuts. Like, you got to give Fortnite its comeuppance because it deserves it. Helldivers 2, yeah, like I said, had a huge, set the gaming scene on fire. Everybody was squadding up with their bros for democracy, shooting bugs and robots in the face. A lot of great clips came out of this. I'll have to see if I can find one. You know what? Let me see if I click over here. I hope this doesn't. Let me see something real quick. Okay, good. That didn't pop that up, did it? Okay. Let me see if I can find this. real quick because there was a really funny, this really, really funny clip. Was it on? No, it wasn't on Twitter. It was on YouTube. I'll look it up in a minute. But the community had a field day with this gaming community. No Man's Sky, they keep updating that game for free, which is impressive. And they just keep updating it, and they don't ask for anything in return except to just play it. Pretty crazy. One of the best like comeback stories in gaming, but that also happened years ago. So most of these games are just games that just keep existing because people love them. Baldur's Gate 3, however, I still haven't beaten it yet. Fantastic game. This was my game of the year last year because it just did so many things right and so many things well. And they added mod support recently, first on PC, and then they actually brought mods to console, which is something that pretty much, I think a couple of different games have done it, but it's mostly been Bethesda that's been like a big advocate for supporting mods on consoles. But Baldur's Gate 3 did it as well. I haven't checked modding out yet, personally, because I still haven't beaten the actual base game. But that's a huge W, in my opinion. That's a huge, huge win for gaming and for gamers. And this game's been nothing but a champion of what a good game is and should be. So I think my vote has to go to this because they've done nothing but been fantastic with this game. Updating it and supporting it and patching it and fixing bugs and being transparent with their community and listening to feedback and adjusting things according to player feedback. I mean, the whole dang game launched off of GoFundMe and an extended alpha period of getting feedback from gamers. So it's literally like community support the game in a lot of ways. And you can argue that for all of these, pretty much. You really can. So this comes down to just personal preference. But I think genuinely any of these games are deserving of it. Probably these three the most because of how much say the community has and sway the community has, seemingly. But I'm going to go with Baldur's Gate on that one. Best ongoing game. I don't really have a huge horse in this race because none of these games are like huge personal games for me. I've heard a lot of people in the Destiny community not happy with Destiny. I've heard a lot of people aren't happy, but that seems to be a very common, constant thing with the Destiny community where they like something and then they don't. So I don't know. I quit playing Destiny a long time ago. Diablo just kind of had its first big expansion this year, which a lot of people seem to like. But I kind of quit playing the game. I just kind of fell off of it. I already talked about FF14, Fortnite, and Helldivers 2. Awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. To be honest, based on that descriptor, I think Fortnite makes the most sense because of the breadth of what they've added to that game. I actually spent quite a bit of time playing the Lego survival mode because it was really fun. And it's like not even what Fortnite started as at all. It was like, oh, this is like Minecraft as Legos inside of Fortnite, which is just crazy. So I would say that probably fits the description the best. But really, any of these are fine. I don't really have a big horse in the race for best ongoing game. Games for Impact, didn't play any of them. I heard this was basically like watching a movie, and not a whole lot of gameplay to it. But I think that's kind of how the first game was. It's more of an experience. and so it's interesting. Never even heard of these two. Wasn't interested. And this one seemed cool. Another Metroidvania, and it seemed like a very personal game, but then there was a bunch of weird controversy around it that I have no idea what's going on. But I don't really have a horse in that race either. So, moving on. Innovation and accessibility. Hey, Jabberwocky, welcome back. Thank you for the resubscription on a 5-month streak. I hope you're doing well. Welcome on in. We're discussing Game Awards and the nominations and casting our votes. And I am returned. I was out for 2 weeks. I was sick twice and just busy and kind of burnt out in general. Not creatively necessarily, just kind of in general. But we're back. And I'm just going over Game Awards stuff. So welcome on in. And thank you for the resub. Innovation in accessibility. Didn't watch it, I just know my whole game one, I got lots of nice rewards for rolls. Well, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. They just released the voting. So the actual Game Awards will be on December 12th. There have been other award things, I think, like the Golden Joysticks and stuff like that. There's a bunch of them that go on. But Game Awards specifically will be on December 12th. So right now we're just going over the categories, talking about them, and then casting our votes. Hey, Rage of Wrath, what's up? Welcome on in. Yeah, hasn't officially won yet, just nominated. Yeah. It could have been a different award ceremony or a different, a lot of the journalist outlets will do their own Game of the Years and whatnot. Oh, AFK Journey, the AFK one, or Arena or something. Yeah, I saw that was nominated up here too. We talked about that a little bit. Yeah, best mobile game. I voted for Zenless Zone Zero, of course, because I've only played that one and Pokemon Trading Card Game, which is really fun. Have you played that one yet, Wrath? Pokemon Trading Card Pocket? It's very fun. Right. Didn't play those. Accessibility. Doesn't matter because we all get poly either way. Hey, that's what's up. I actually haven't been playing ZZZ much lately because I've been sucked into Dragon Age. So innovation and accessibility, recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. Retro, thank you very much for the resubscription on a 2-month streak. I appreciate you. Stay awesome, dude. You stay awesome too. And I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, my music's still going. They have merch giveaways for Pokemon Pocket on Google Play. Interesting. I do have an Android phone. I'll have to check that out. That game's been fun. I've liked it because it's very relaxing. I like the collection aspect. And it's completely free to play. You get like 2 pack openings a day, at least. Play it, but start at day 2. Don't play as hardcore as the sweats. Me neither. I predominantly mostly just open my daily packs and hope for the best. That said, I have played I've actually played some matches against people, and I haven't lost yet. Actually, no, I lost once. I take that back. I had to concede once because somebody definitely wailed and had like 15 legendary full art EX Pokemon cards, and I was like, I can't do nothing against that. But I won every other match of mine, so I don't know. Played with a starter deck. I've done a bunch of summons for free because the game's insanely generous. You get 2 a day at least, but if you do all the missions and you play a bunch of the like against the computer and matches and stuff, you get so many levels that I got so much so many pulls. I've gotten a bunch of cards, so I started building my own decks out. So I started with the starter deck, but I've actually been using my own custom ones because I've just been able to summon so much. I haven't spent a single cent on the game either, which is great. Luck is bleh. I've had some pretty darn good luck. I've also been doing the was it Wonder Picks a lot. We've gotten pretty lucky on those quite a few times. I've got quite a few. I think I've got like 8 to 10 full like EX cards. Can I stream it? I'd have to figure out how to do that from my phone. Unless you can do it from the computer. Maybe. Oh, can Rage of Wrath stream it? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know how to do the mobile streaming either. I'd have to figure that out too. As far as innovation and accessibility goes, I don't know what any of these games do accessibility-wise. I've been playing this a whole lot, but I have no idea what the accessibility options are, so I don't really have anything to say on that one. Best performance. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that almost exclusively make content off mobile games. So there's definitely setups for it. Yeah. Other than that, lately, I really don't play them on my phone very much. I just kind of, like I said, open packs here or there. But I mostly play on console. Yeah. Yeah. Mobile games want to eat your time, for sure. I mostly just like it because it's like collecting Pokemon cards. So best performance. So these are the voice actors. Got lady that played Senua in Senua Saga. Guy that played Silent Hill 2. Main character, I'm guessing. Star Wars Outlaws, Life is Strange. And the only one that I really know anything about was from Final Fantasy VII. I believe she played Aerith. I believe Brianna White was Aerith. Fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, this entire category could have just been the cast of Final Fantasy VII. Because the voice acting in that game was phenomenal. So I'm going to go with the voice of Aerith. And move on to best audio design. Now this is an interesting category. It's the same starter deck over and over again. Hey, you never know. You never know. Some people do like to see nothing but suffering. Which is why Souls streamers are so successful. So recognizing best in-game audio and sound design. So actual game audio, not music, because I think music's its own category. The only ones I've played are Call of Duty and Final Fantasy. However, I watched someone play the entirety of Silent Hill 2. That game had some pretty crazy audio design. Even just listening to it through my sound bar, I was like, whoa, pretty dang creepy. But of the two that I've played, FF7. Sound design in that game was fantastic. All of the noises from just everything was quintessential, like, video game sounds that just make you tingle with joy. Like Star Wars type noises that just stick in your head. I love that stuff. Link to vote? Yeah, I can do that. Will it shoot me if I post my own link? I'm curious. No, okay. Yeah, there is the Game Awards. I guess it's going to go straight to the music, but you can just click out to the other categories. And there's quite a lot of them. So we're almost at the end. I went backwards, and we're currently on best score in music, but we're getting to the juicy bit. Best score in music, again, only one I've actually really played was Final Fantasy VII. Silent Hill 2 was interesting. I think this one had more interesting audio design. Not as much on the music side for me personally, but music's very subjective. I played the demo of Metaphor and it was good. What's Stellar Blade? You didn't hear about Stellar Blade? I'm surprised. This game made a lot of waves. This game made a lot of waves. You can essentially think of it as it's a Souls-like that is also very heavily inspired by the Nier games and very attractive android ladies running around in skin-tight suits. So a very particular crowd is very, very, very loud about their support for this game. It does look cool combat-wise. So, and I've heard people say the music's actually really good in this game. I've heard that the story is not good, but the gameplay and the music are. But this is going to Final Fantasy VII, and I will be mad if this doesn't win it, because my God, the music in this game is so good. I cannot believe they still haven't dropped the soundtrack for this game on Spotify. I'm frothing at the mouth for it. Remake soundtrack was incredible. The soundtrack in this game has been incredible. It's genuinely become one of my favorite video game soundtracks, on par with the likes of the Halo games, with the likes of the Zelda games, like all of my favorite game soundtracks. Final Fantasy VII is just on a whole other level. The music just does so much, and it's so varied. Everything always fits the mood and the tone of what's happening. I listen to it just on its own all the time. It's so, so good. So if this doesn't win Best Music, I'll be mad. I'll actually be mad. It is getting a Nier crossover, Rage. That is correct. It is actually getting a Nier crossover, which is really funny. Just not your cup of tea? Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't hear about it, because there was a lot of controversy when it came out. Because there was two very vocal crowds, a crowd of people that hated it because of the sexy ladies, and a crowd of people that loved it because of the sexy ladies. As you can imagine, Twitter was on fire. But if you're not on Twitter very much, then maybe that's why you didn't hear about it. It was very annoying. It was very annoying, the noise around that game. But yeah, FF7, the music. The music in Final Fantasy VII makes you feel things. There's genuinely, like, you'll be in a moment, like a big moment's happening, and the music kicks in, and like, depending on the moment, it's like, oh, it's the hypest thing ever, or it's like, I'm about to start bawling like a little baby, because it just hits so perfectly. Whole entire orchestras, yes. You went to a few of them? I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I don't think it ever came around my neck of the woods, unfortunately. But yeah, I heard a lot of people went to the concerts for FF7 and loved it. I'm sure a live orchestra of that music would be incredible. I've seen they've done that for a lot of different games, like game orchestras, but they just never come through Oklahoma, as far as I am aware, unfortunately. There was an Avatar: The Last Airbender one that I wanted to go to, but we just didn't end up going to it. You lived in Seattle? Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Big city. Getting the draw. Nobody wants to come to little Oklahoma unless you're a country singer. Best art direction. So, again, the only two I've actually played any of are Elden Ring and Metaphor. Though, to be fair, when it comes to art direction, that's not something you necessarily have to play a game to appreciate, in my opinion. Hey, my automated Nightbot thing is working. Good. Okay. I set that up before I disappeared for 2 weeks, and I never really got a good test out of it, so that's nice to see. All these games have good art direction. Let's keep what that way? Daft Punk Interstellar? Wait, what? Daft Punk Interstellar? Huh? That sounds interesting. They remade it? Like they're releasing Interstellar with Daft Punk music? I'm confused. I need more details. I very much need more details. That sounds very interesting. Art direction. All these games have good art direction. Graphics and art direction are different, though. But all these games have good art direction. Obviously, FromSoft games are literally carried by their art direction because they're not graphically impressive. But I am a huge proponent that art direction trumps graphics. A good art direction, you don't need crazy fidelity. And FromSoft games are one of the pillars of epitome of that they're not technically impressive, like graphically, but my God, the art direction's immaculate. Everywhere you look in that game, it's just like, you just stop and go, whoa, that's sick. It's just so cool. Interstellar 5555. Auto I hate the autocorrect. Huh. I've never heard of that. I'll have to look that up. I don't know. I'd have to see what that is. Let me look it up over here. Five 5555. Huh. Yeah, looks like it is. It will be here in December. This is December 12th. FF7 stands a chance of sweeping all the awards. I definitely agree with you. And I would not be mad. Because it's probably... well, it's not probably. FF7 is my game of the year. We haven't gotten there yet. Spoiler alerts. I will definitely... We're almost there, Rage. We're almost there, and I have thoughts. I have thoughts. I'm going to save them when we get there. Art direction. Obviously, this game, I never played it, but just looking at the trailers, this game is like nothing but art direction. So 100% understand if this would get it. This game, it's got good art direction. The menus of this game are crazy good because it's the Persona devs, and they just ooze style out of their everything. These games are just like style the video games. Black Myth Wukong, out of all of them, is definitely more so carried by graphical fidelity, in my opinion. The art direction is good, but it's kind of plays second fiddle to just raw graphical power. And then Astrobot is obviously very cute, very classical platformer fun, almost going for like a Mario Galaxy-esque type of vibe. Personally, though, what Elden Ring does, and I'm very biased, is just too good. I love the art direction of these games. Click it. There we go. So my vote goes to Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree for art direction. I think it stands a very good chance of winning this. It's one of the things that FromSoft games are always praised for. But obviously this game is literally just art come to life. I haven't played it, but just from seeing it, it's one of those kind of games. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Best narrative. Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII. After beating Final Fantasy VII, it's one of the few experiences I've had where I felt like I went on an epic journey with the characters. Like on the levels of like Lord of the Rings or One Piece, where you're just with these characters for so long and you go through so much with them. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Just the quality of the storytelling, the quality of the writing, the surprises along the way. I've never played the original FF7. So as somebody getting into it through the remakes, it's like, whoa, this is crazy, right? I do hear like classical fans talk about it, and it's interesting to get their perspectives. But from what I can tell, a lot of them really like it. There are some people that are always those staunch, like, oh, the classic was perfect and I don't need anything new. And that's fine. But we're literally listening to Final Fantasy VII Lo-Fi at this very moment, which seems very fitting because absolutely. I can't talk to Like a Dragon because I didn't play it. I only played the demo of Metaphor, but it did have a compelling story. I didn't play Senua's Saga. I watched all of Silent Hill 2. You can't hear the music? I mean, it's low. It's not supposed to be super loud, but turn it up a little bit. You hear it now? Let me know if you can hear that. So my vote is obviously FF7, but I will say, okay, Silent Hill 2, I watched somebody play it in totality, which I talked about earlier, and it was very compelling. It was very interesting. Not a kind of game I would play personally, but I really enjoyed watching it. And it was very weird, but in one of those, this is very weird, but I can't stop watching it because it's just like I gotta know what happens. But Final Fantasy VII, just like I said, going on an epic adventure, and you feel like you're part of the group. Just, it's like my favorite thing ever. Lord of the Rings, Skyrim, One Piece, like all these things that are huge, grand, epic adventures in like a fantasy world. I love it. I can't say enough good things about that game. Best game direction. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. This one's a little more interesting, especially if you look at it from like an innovation standpoint. Again, I've only played in totality Elden Ring and Final Fantasy VII. I played the demo of Metaphor. I watched a lot of Black Myth. I haven't played or watched Astrobot, and I didn't even know what Balatro was other than the name until just recently. But it's like a card game, I guess. I still don't really know what it is. I just know it's very popular. Once again, I mean, it's between these two for me, obviously, because they're the only ones I really played. But also, they're both just so freaking good. They're both so good. It's a tough one. And these were pitted against each other for RPG as well, which I gave it to Elden Ring on that one. but with an asterisk, because I want to go back to that and really decide. Balatro equals poker roguelike. Oh, okay. Interesting. Poker roguelike. That's an interesting concept. I'll have to go check it out and see how that functions. Roguelike poker. That is interesting. I'm trying to think about how that would work. It's so tough to pick between these two when they're pitted against each other, because they're both my favorite things from this year. Like, equally so, for different reasons. Elden Ring's map design, the boss encounters, just the way the world directs you where to go, with how it tantalizes you with points of interest, and you just go, and then you get into trouble, and then you discover something, and you just keep going. It's just some of my favorite stuff in a game, just in gaming, period. And then FF7, they made the world, they opened the world up from the first game, and they did something that a lot of people thought impossible, which was making Final Fantasy VII's world come to life in a new age, somewhat open world style game, and make it fun. And they did. Similar thing where you get access to these big, large maps. Now Shadow of the Erdtree is one large map, and FF7's kind of broken up into multiple maps, but they're all connected to each other, and they're mostly connected through story missions. So like the connection points kind of go into story and then come back out into free form and then go back into story, which is I think a good way to do it. And then later on, you get access to the entire map again, so you can go back and clear up anything that you missed. I might... but like, game direction and design, it's tough. It's tough, because they're both masterpieces. I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give game direction to Elden Ring, because that experience just captivated me, and from just like the game as a game captivates me in a way that's even hard to describe. And I think I've decided I'm going to go back to best RPG, and I'm going to give it to FF7. I think FF7 encapsulates more of what an overall RPG is and should be. Elden Ring is definitely an RPG. It's also very action focused at the same time, but you're not really making like decisions that like impact the game. You're exploring around, and then you're fighting bosses and banging your head against the wall until you beat them, which I love to death. But I think as far as what makes an RPG in its truest sense, thinking about it now, I think FF7 makes a lot more sense. So I'm going to do that. So, with all that said, I voted Elden Ring for best game direction, narrative FF7, art direction Elden Ring, score FF7, audio design FF7, performance FF7, best ongoing I gave it to Fortnite, community support Baldur's Gate 3, mobile game Zenless Zone Zero, and I'm mad it was the only one that it was up for, because it should have been an action game, but they gave it to Call of Duty. I went Space Marine for action, Silent Hill 2 for action adventure, because I didn't play any of the other ones. I don't think I played anything in this category. Yeah, I didn't. So this is the only one I actually watched the entire thing. I was like, all right, I'll give it to that one. RPG, changed that to FF7. Fighting game, I went with Tekken 8. Multiplayer, Call of Duty. Best adaptation, Fallout was the only one of these that I've personally watched, and it was fantastic. I didn't watch any of the other ones, but I know everybody's praises the crap out of Arcane, so it's probably going to win. And a lot of people like the Sonic movies. And then anticipated game, I went with Monster Hunter personally, but I know Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to win this one because that's one of the biggest memes of the past 10 years is we got this before GTA 6. People have been waiting over a decade. That one's going to win, but my personal one's Monster Hunter. So, with all of that said, now we come to the penultimate choice, or the ultimate choice, rather. Game of the year. Now, Rage, you asked what my thoughts were about Elden Ring DLC being up for Game of the Year. And that is definitely one of the things that made me want to talk about this tonight. I personally do not like that a DLC expansion is viable for the Game of the Year award. It's the Game of the Year, right? Not the DLC of the year or the expansion of the year. I think they could have made an entire category for DLC/expansion or put Elden Ring in ongoing, because ongoing is a category, right? Best, where was it? Best ongoing is a category, and Elden Ring's not in here. They usually just put live service games in here is why. But I mean, Diablo is kind of a live service, but it also got an expansion. FF14 got an expansion. They should have put Elden Ring in here, in my opinion, and given this spot to something else that actually, you know, deserved a shot. Because it's not a new game, it's an expansion to a game. As much as I love it, and it's one of the funnest things I played all year, it's not a full-blown game, right? One point some people were making that I completely agree with, you have to buy Elden Ring to have access to Shadow of the Erdtree. You have to buy the base game to then have access to the DLC. You can't just play it by itself. So in that sense, it's an expansion. Does it feel like it's a sequel? It kind of does, because it's insane how much they packed into that for just $40. It's wild. It's highway robbery for us as consumers. It's like, good lord. But I think there's plenty of other games that came out this year that are very deserving of having a spot up here. And instead they're giving it to something that not only is a DLC expansion, but is a DLC expansion to an already previous Game of the Year winner. Elden Ring already won Game of the Year in 2022. It already got its flowers, right? So I'm of the camp that this award, Game of the Year, should be for new games that have come out within this year. Because when are any of those other games going to get a shot at this ever again? Never. How many games get DLC every year and they do not get this level of prestige? Right? So I'm not a fan of that, especially because it very well could take it. It could win. This could win Game of the Year again, which is crazy. Exactly. Double dipping, exactly. Yeah, and obviously you've heard me sit here and sing its praises because it's a fantastic expansion. I love Elden Ring. It was my game of the year for 2022. Absolutely. And as much as I love all the jokes and the memes people made about when Elden Ring came out, this is a game of the generation and it could win game of the year for the next 10 years, it was still a joke. I think the Game Awards panelists took that joke a little too seriously. So, excuse me. I've been talking so much more than I have in 2 weeks. My throat hurts. Yeah, I'm not with it. They lost me on this one. To be completely honest, I'm shocked that Silent Hill 2 is not up here. Oh, I'm sorry, Jabberwocky. What was that? What got deleted? Oh, I have a automatic link delete thing. What was that 2? Well, hold on a second. I thought I added the thing to make I thought I added the thing for VIPs to do that. I'll have to figure that out. Oh, it was the sunflower clip. Can I hold on, let me see something here. I don't know how to add permissions. I need to figure out how to add permissions, like on the fly. Do you know how to do that? Do you know how to add like a permission for somebody to... I think you have to do it through Nightbot, don't you? Did I add that? Hold on a second. Because I thought about that recently. Oh, I haven't added it yet. Yeah, I'd have to figure out how to do that. I can't believe Silent Hill wasn't nominated. That one genuinely shocked me. Through Nightbot. Okay. I'll figure out how to do that and get that set up. I haven't had any time to mess with anything lately. Yeah, that sunflower boss was funny though. That thing made me rage. I hated that. That was the other boss I hated in Elden Ring. But yeah, I think this could have gone to a number of other games that deserved a shot at, you know, getting their flowers. And I'm genuinely shocked Silent Hill 2 wasn't up here. I'm not surprised. I know a lot of people are mad Stellar Blade wasn't up here. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Black Myth, obviously FF7. I heard nothing but good things about this, and from what little I played, it sounds like it deserves to be here. Everybody loved Astrobot, and apparently Balatro's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I haven't played it, so I can't tell you, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. So I think everything else makes a lot of sense. It's just, I also don't like the precedent it sets for this to be here, because now it sets a precedent for DLC expansions of games to be able to take a spot in the Game of the Year discussion. Again, put it in best ongoing or make a category specifically for, and I think they should anyway, make a category specifically for DLC/expansions. Because there's tons of them every single year, and that's a fantastic way to implement that in there without it taking a spot. You're sure Balatro's good, just not sure about Gotti good? Yeah, I haven't even ever seen what the game looks like outside of screenshots, so I personally have nothing that I can really say about it, because I just don't know. I was shocked that it was up for Gotti. I'm trying to think. In fact, why don't we look up games released in 2024. There's so much stuff that came out. It's hard to remember all of it. Because I'm curious, I definitely think Silent Hill 2 got snubbed. 1000%. And I didn't even play that game, but I watched all of it. And it was like watching a movie. It was a very enjoyable watching experience. Excuse me. This was another one, Like a Dragon, the Yakuza game. A lot of people really liked that one. That one seemed like it was a potential Gaudi nom, Gaudi nom there. I knew it wasn't going to, but Tekken 8 was really good. It got nominated for Fighting Game, though, which is good. Thank God Last of Us Part 2 Remastered didn't. I can't believe they remastered that game already. Satisfactory. I heard a lot of good stuff about that. That's not everything. That is not all of the games of 2024. Critically acclaimed. I didn't type in critically acclaimed titles. Maybe Game Rant. Here we go. Prince of Persia, Pal World. I'm surprised that... well, maybe I'm not surprised. That game was very popular and fun, but with Nintendo going through a potential lawsuit against them, they probably wanted to steer clear of giving that game any more attention. Enshrouded looked good, but it's early access. I'm just curious if there's anything else really big. Persona 3 Reload. I'm surprised that didn't get any noms. A lot of people were happy about that. Oh my gosh, chat. Can you believe that the greatest game ever created, Foam Stars, the most amazing game ever conceived by human minds, was not given a Game of the Year nomination? I'm quite frankly shocked and appalled. I'm shocked and appalled, chat, that Foam Stars, of all things, the greatest thing ever created by human hands, was not nominated for Game of the Year. It's a sham. It's a complete and utter sham. Can't believe it. Yeah, Pal World's technically early access too. Still fun. I actually had a lot of fun with that. What else? What else? I'm just curious if there's anything else big that feels like it's missing from a Game of the Year nomination. There was a lot of games. There wasn't as many huge games this year, but there was still a fair few. Dragon's Dogma was fun, but I don't think it was Gaudi worthy, to be completely honest. A lot of people will say Stellar Blade. I don't think it was Gaudi worthy. Yeah. Yeah. Hades 2's early access as well. There's a lot of early access games this year. By the way, if you couldn't tell, I was being very sarcastic about Foam Stars, just to set the record straight. It was all sarcasm. Games in June. There's a lot of expansions to stuff this year as well. A lot of continued support. I think if there hadn't been at least one or two other games that were new games that released that were Game of the Year noms, then maybe you could argue to me that the Elden Ring DLC deserves a spot because of how incredible it was. But there's definitely at least a couple games. Silent Hill 2 being the predominant one for sure. I mean, personally, and I know my chat would agree with me, Zinla Zone Zero could have been up for a nomination, in my opinion. That game is fantastic. I put 250 hours into it. So it's definitely on my personal list up there for sure. Yeah, Hades 2 needs more time to cook, 1000%. I still need to play Hades 1. That's something I wouldn't mind streaming at some point. Anything else? Outlaws was not it. Wukong was already... chat. This is what we're missing. This is what's missing. I cannot believe that the Game Awards would snub Concord. I can't believe it. The greatest thing that Sony has ever thought to spend an absurd amount of money on and then kill it within 2 weeks because nobody cared. I've never seen a game die faster in my entire life. That was crazy. That was crazy. Obviously should have been a Game of the Year nomination. No, they need to make an entire category for... They need to make a category for biggest fail of the year. And Concord would win with flying colors. Very sad, though, that studio got shut down. Because they were just doing what they were told. And, yeah. Stupid Sony. Dang Sony. Those poor devs. I feel bad for the devs. That's actually a sad situation. RIP. I played this game a lot. Of course, it came out last year, technically, but it came to Xbox this year. Return to Moria is super fun. Not a gaudy. Not even close. But I've really enjoyed it a lot. So, just a little highlight there. I'm not seeing anything else. I definitely think... I think Silent Hill 2 was the biggest snub. The Razzies equivalent of Game Awards. Because Astrobot's up there. I still want to play Inotria. Another situation where it was supposed to come to Xbox and it just never did. I could get it on PC. I could get it on PlayStation. I just like my achievements. Sue me. Still hoping that it'll come. I also just got busy with stuff. Not gaudy material, but looks really fun. Looks really fun. I still want to play it. Yeah. I think of everything, it was Silent Hill 2. It deserved a spot. Nothing else is really sticking out to me that isn't already up there that feels deserving. That isn't like an expansion or a DLC or some continuation of something, you know? Yeah. As much fun as I've been having with Veilguard, I've really been enjoying this game. Still wouldn't say it's a gaudy nomination. I think it could have been in the RPG discussion, but it wasn't going to win, so, because Final Fantasy VII exists. But fun game. I've been playing a lot of it. I've been enjoying it. It's not perfect, but it's been fun. I didn't play anything VR, so I voted nothing. Normalize shaming game corpos for bad decision making that F's over a game. 1000% agree with you on that. 1000% agree. We need to hold them accountable for their stupidity. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else major. I think if Stalker 2 came out earlier, that could have had an argument, maybe. I mean, it hasn't come out yet, so we don't know. But everything this late's past the date anyway. So, Stalker on Wednesday. Yeah. The game does look good. Can't decide on the VR. I never play VR stuff, so I have no say. Oh, getting back to Game of the Year, my vote goes to Final Fantasy VII. Sorry, I kept you waiting on that for so long. I just got really into the whole argument there. So, yes, Final Fantasy VII. From the options that are up here, both the options that are up here, and looking back on my year and everything that I played, with confidence and gusto, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is my pick for Game of the Year. I think it has a strong chance of taking it. I personally think it's between these three for what will win. I think it's between Elden Ring, FF7, and Metaphor for what will win. Astrobot is probably the dark horse. I'm with you, Rage. I'm kind of surprised this got nominated for GOTY. Because it's an indie game that was really popular, it almost feels like maybe it's a pity vote. You know, they almost kind of do that every year where they're like, we're going to throw an indie game into the GOTY pool, into the discussion, even though they know it's probably not going to win. Black Myth Wukong, one of those games, sold really well, but critically was sort of like an 80%, I think, in the 80s or something. So I don't think it has a shot, really, of actually winning. I definitely think, crazy to say, that it's between FF7 and Elden Ring, with Metaphor right behind them, and then Astrobot. I'm pulling for FF7, but it's going to be up in the air between these two. I'm seeing a lot of people voicing their dissatisfaction that Elden Ring's DLC is up for this, but there's also tons of people. I mean, again, this is voted on by a panel of judges. So the outcome is really based on judges. And you can kind of look back at previous, like if we look back at all game awards winners, you can kind of see a pattern of where the judges go, like where they lean towards. So, like last year was Baldur's Gate 3, which is kind of outside of the norm. One of the few times it actually is kind of outside of the norm for what they tend to pick. 2022 was Elden Ring, pretty decisively. I only tried one VR game, and it's too old for the awards this year. Gotcha. What game was that? I'm curious. I just don't have any VR stuff, and it's one of those things that it hasn't gotten to a point yet that makes me go, I really need to try VR. You know? Especially for how expensive those things are. 2021 was also actually surprising. It Takes Two won that one. That was a bit of a shock. So not every year. Sometimes it surprises. 2020 was Last of Us Part 2, which beat out Ghost of Tsushima, which I'm still bitter about. Past that, are you gonna let me like click? It's not gonna let me see all. There we go. Oh, it only goes to 2020. Well, 2019 was Sekiro, 18 was God of War, and 17 was Breath of the Wild, I think. So, yeah, I think it's between these two. I really, really do. I hope it's FF7. Because Remake also got beat on Game of the Year by The Last of Us, I think. I think it was that year. Jabberwocky, thank you for the lurk. Enjoy, enjoy. Beat Saber. Oh, that one did look fun. That's one of the few VR games I've seen that was like, that actually looks pretty fun. Is your cousin's copy? Nice. That one looks like it's both fun and a good workout. I can see that being a pretty good workout. But that one does look fun. It's kind of like Guitar Hero with lightsabers. I think I'd be terrible at it. I was only ever slightly decent at a Guitar Hero, but I did enjoy it. So I wouldn't mind trying that one. Sorry, my friend sent me something funny. But yeah, so there we have it, chat. Pretty good workout for the arms. I would imagine so, from what I've seen, especially on the harder difficulties. Whew. So everything that I voted for, all the things that I didn't vote for, I either had no interest in or had not played anything that was in the category, so I don't have anything that I can say. But most anticipated game, Monster Hunter Wilds. Best adaptation, Fallout. Best multiplayer, I went with Call of Duty. Best fighting game, Tekken 8. Best RPG, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Best action adventure, Silent Hill 2. Best action game, Warhammer. Best mobile game, Zinla Zone Zero, you best believe it. Best community support, Baldur's Gate. Best ongoing, Fortnite. Best performance, the voice actress for Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. Best audio design, Final Fantasy VII. Best score in music, Final Fantasy VII. Best art direction, Elden Ring. Best narrative, Final Fantasy VII. Best game direction, Elden Ring. And my game of the year, to no one's surprise, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And there we have it, chat. There is our Game Awards votes and nominations for the year of our Lord 2024. The official show, I believe, is on December 12th. Probably says if we go back to the start page. And I probably won't stream the show itself. I usually like to watch it through one of my streamers that I follow. And I just kind of know. It's a long event, and dealing with like all the copyrighted music they play in trailers and stuff, I don't know. Eventually, maybe I'd like to stream something like this, but I probably won't stream it. We'll see. But it is going to be on December 12th, so if you want to watch it, it will be streamed directly from there, and there will be a lot of people restreaming it. And yeah, I'm pulling for Final Fantasy VII, but I'm also predominantly the most excited to see what sort of games and reveal trailers we get, because that's kind of one of the main draws and why most people watch the Game Awards is because of all of the new announcements. As far as what could show up at the Game Awards, I'm not entirely sure. As far as like new things or things we haven't seen a lot on, there's a possibility they could show off GTA 6 stuff, but Rockstar knows that they have everyone buy their private parts. that they don't have to use those kind of shows to drop a trailer. They can just drop it whenever they want. So, I mean, maybe that could happen. I'd be willing to bet we might see some more Monster Hunter stuff, but we've seen a bunch of that already. So, and that comes out in February, so I'd imagine maybe another trailer or something like that. Maybe, depending on when it's actually going to come out, because it is currently slated for next year. Maybe we'll see something on the new Fable game. That's one I would be very, very eager and excited to see more on, because we've only gotten CG teaser trailers. Well, I mean, they showed in-game footage. We haven't gotten, like, pure gameplay for it yet. I'm very excited about Fable. And I want to know when it's coming out so I can start planning my playthrough of the first 3 Fable games, which we will be doing on stream at some point in time, because I really want to. What else? Well, let's just take a look. Like, games releasing 2025. What do we got? What do we got? GameSpot. Huh? Donkey Kong Country Returns HD? Whoa! When the heck did that get announced? Oh, it's an HD port of the Wii game. Never mind. Okay, that's cool though. Coming to Switch. That threw me off guard. I was like, what? Donkey Kong. What do we got? What other big games are coming out? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to be a pretty big one. I never played the first one. It was kind of hard to get into for me. It's kind of a little too realistic, but I'll be interested to keep an eye out for that one. Never got into the Civ games myself. Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out in February, which is very unfortunate for it because Monster Hunter comes out right at the end of February. But I'm kind of interested in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Avowed, I'm interested in. Both these are like tepid interest, kind of mellowed interest. Like, if I feel like it when they come out, I might grab them. This one will be on Game Pass at least, Avowed, so I'll definitely try it. I'll probably try to stream it a little bit, maybe. Definitely very excited for Monster Hunter Wilds. I plan on streaming that one, so that'll be fun. What else we got? Fatal Fury. That's all that's cemented, I guess. But to be announced, what do we got? Atomfall looked kind of interesting, but not something that's like big. Borderlands 4? Really? I never got into Borderlands. Carmen Sandiego. Wow, that's funny. Oh, this game looks really interesting. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. That one surprised me with its trailers. It actually looks pretty cool. I'm definitely interested in that one. I'll be checking that one out for sure. Or at least keeping up with it. Death Stranding 2 is going to be a big one, but I still have no idea what the heck Death Stranding 1 is. I got cracked up by the name. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Like that SpongeBob episode where they work at the Krusty Krab at night. Like, I'm cleaning the toilets at night. I'm cooking Krabby Patties at night. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Just cracked me up. Doom the Dark Ages. There's one. Very excited for that. And we still have to finish Doom Eternal DLC. I have part 2 left. So I don't think I'm going to do that tonight, but I want to come back tomorrow and see if we can finish up Doom. So we'll be ready for this when this comes out next year. which I'm very, very excited for. I don't know what Project Multi is for Dragon Ball, but a new Dragon Ball game. Dune Awakening sounds interesting, but we haven't seen anything on it yet. Eden Zero looks like a decently fun little game. I liked the anime. I'm a fan of Mashima's stuff. I'm a big Fairy Tail fan, so I'm down for that. What else? Ghost of Yotei, that's another big one. Very excited for that one. Ghost of Tsushima was chef's kiss. So, very much looking forward to that. Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm actually looking forward to seeing more of that. I never could get into Grand Theft Autos personally, or Red Dead, but if nothing else, I'll be very excited to watch everybody else play it if it ends up not being my cup of tea. Hey, are you a Fairy Tail fan, Rage? Welcome. Welcome. And thrice welcome. We have to look out for each other as Fairy Tail fans. A lot of people out there that want to dog on us just because we like a good show that they don't. Hell yeah. My people. My people. You are more than welcome here. This is a safe place for Fairy Tail fans. In fact, I have a Fairy Tail poster back there, which, hold on. I don't know if you can, yeah, kind of hard to see. Yeah, I got my Fairy Tail poster. I have a whole bunch of, I can't point mirror, but I have a whole bunch of Lucy's and Urza's figures, as well as some Natsu's and Grays. I have a whole bunch of Fairy Tail stuff. It is one of my favorite anime. So, you are in good company. Very good company. And they are making a second Fairy Tail game. I actually have the first one on Switch. It's not the best game ever, but it's fun. So I might be interested in playing those on stream at some point, because there's a part 2 coming out. Read all the manga. Didn't quite see all the episodes, not enough time. I gotcha. I am definitely an anime watcher. I've actually not read manga at all. I have one volume of Dragon Ball Z just because I bought it at Barnes and Noble one day, but I very much got into anime. So Fairy Tail was one of the earlier anime that I got into when I really got into it. I grew up on Dragon Ball Z and then didn't really break into a lot of other stuff until way later. But when I did, Fairy Tail was one of the ones I got into, and I love it. I'm rewatching it right now. Recently picked up a roguelike card game of Fairy Tail. Really? Roguelike card game. Is it a physical game or is it a mobile game? That sounds cool. We need a high budget Fairy Tail game, dang it. I still want a Fairy Tail like Arc System Works fighting game. That'd be so cool. Like Dragon Ball FighterZ, but Fairy Tail. To be honest, I just want Arc System Works to make a fighting game of all of the major animes, like Bleach and One Piece and Naruto, Fairy Tail, like all of them. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I love it. I just feel like I'm part of the guild, you know? I love all the characters. And Lucy's my favorite female character in all of anime. Which is earned because I didn't feel that way the first time I watched the show. And every time I rewatch it, I have a greater and greater appreciation for that character. But if you ever get around to it, I think the anime is good. It suffers in some spots animation-wise, which is unfortunate, but the vibes are still immaculate. And the music, oh, Fairy Tail has one of the best soundtracks ever. I love it. I love it. So good. Anyway, you got me on a tangent. Hunter x Hunter and Impact looks like a decent fighting game. Looks kind of fun. Isn't Indiana Jones coming out this year? Or did it get pushed back? It got pushed back, didn't it? Interesting. That looks fun. Looks interesting. What else? Just looking for like major standout games. Monster Hunter Wilds, yeah. Did they not have they didn't have Fable listed here. I thought that was supposed to be next year. Yeah, yeah, I've got some Fairy Tail emotes in there too. Heck yeah, of course. Of course. Represent. Pokemon Legends. There's another Pokemon Legends game coming out. I never played Arceus. I know. I thought it was supposed to come out at the end of this year. Set me up in the kitchen? Heck yeah. You cooking something? Also, welcome back. A lot of games that I've never heard of in my entire life. Yeah, okay. So not anything I'd really forgotten about outside of the big ones. But next year's still looking pretty crazy. Next year's still looking pretty crazy. I could have sworn okay, yeah, so it's tentative for Fable next year. Arceus was good. Love it for the more challenging take on Pokemon formula. I heard a lot of people liked it. I did hear a lot of people liked it. I've only played of the newer. I played Sword and Shield, and I bought Scarlet. And Scarlet ran like a dumpster on fire, which is unfortunate. Or Violet. I got Violet. Violet ran like, both of them ran like a dumpster on fire on the Switch. Hey, what's up, Roger? Welcome on in, my dude. You missed the entire discussion about Game of the Year. But I can show you my votes. I'll show you my votes. You can beam the Mons in the face with the Pokeballs. More violence. So what you're telling me is Arceus was Nintendo's tepid attempt at Palworld, what Palworld did, where you can just shoot things in the face with guns. It's the more family-friendly, violent Pokemon game. By the way, I do have the link to the Game Awards site pinned for anybody who wants to go vote yourself, courtesy of Jabberwocky's suggestion. But for me, I didn't vote in every category. Some categories I have no horse in the race, and some I just didn't play any of the games that were in them. So, most anticipated game, Monster Hunter Wilds. Best adaptation, I went with oh, you got me. I forgot that was on. It's been 2 weeks. I forgot about that. Good scare. Good scare. Best adaptation, I went for Fallout, which was fantastic. Best multiplayer, I went with Call of Duty. The options there, it was between that and Tekken for me, and I just played more of Call of Duty's multiplayer. So, but best fighting game, I went with Tekken 8. which I did talk about the fact that I think a lot of the FGCs are going to be mad that Sparking Zero is up for a nomination here because it's an arena fighter and it might win. I went with Tekken 8. RPG, Final Fantasy 7. Action adventure, I went with Silent Hill 2. I didn't play it, but I watched the whole thing and it was an experience. Best action game, I went with Space Marine. Best mobile game, Zinla Zone Zero, which I saw, Roderick, that you downloaded and played at least a couple hours of. You have to let me know what you think. Nintendo did it first, and technically, if they had a little more time, it would have looked better. Yeah. I'm convinced Nintendo has like 3 people tied up in the Pokemon Company basement at Game Freak, and they're just like, make a game quick. Make money. And the poor devs are just like, please let us be creative. Of course, to be fair, did you guys see that huge Pokemon leak that happened like a month ago? Did anybody here see that? So close to completing the PC, installing mods right now? Heck yeah, brother. Heck yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. Finally have somebody else. I mean, granted, I don't use my PC. My gaming PC. Please don't hurt me, Jabberwocky. Please. That's gonna be fun, man. I'm happy for you. We gotta play some Halo and some Call of Duty and stuff when you hop on there. Heard about the leaks, haven't seen them. Whoo boy. If you want a good entertaining and horrifying read, go look them up. Go look them up. It was a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff that was like canned Pokemon lore. And if you play Pokemon games, or rather avoid them, if you don't want your vision of certain Pokemon tainted forever, that's a good idea. I'll just say, if you've ever read those creepy Pokedex entries, none of them have anything on these stories. Now, technically, they are based on actual myths, but in the context of the family-friendly Pokemon world, it's pretty messed up. Some pretty messed up stuff. You'll never look at... I'll just say it this way. If you read them, you'll never look at Typhlosion the same way ever again. That's all I'm going to say. It's up to you if you want to go... if you want to go look at that stuff. Yeah. I didn't know what was going on, but I heard everybody talking about it, and I finally just looked it up and was, woo! It was something else. Best community game, I went with Baldur's Gate 3. Best ongoing, I went with Fortnite. Performance, Aerith's voice actor for FF7. Audio design, FF7. Score and music, FF7. Best art direction, Elden Ring. Best narrative, FF7. Best game direction, Elden Ring. And my game of the year, Final Fantasy 7. And that is, that's the overview of everything I picked. So, player's voice. Okay, that hasn't opened yet. But I guess you can vote again for certain things. I usually just do this one and then leave it at that. But yeah, that is my noms for Game Awards.